from Tamale, and the police in Tamale have been compelled into a prisoner exchange to save the life of a man kidnapped on suspicion that he was an informant to the police. A source at the Northern Regional Police Command told GBC News that someone rang the police station and threatened to kidnap and kill the victim. The police moved in and were forced into an exchange deal with the suspect, who is currently on the run. The development is said to be in connection with the impasse between the VRA NEDCO, some residents of Tamale, and the police. There is a general feeling of insecurity among workers of the VRA in particular, following the recent assault on some residents of Tamale by police officers and reprisal attacks on the Lamashegu police station, as well as an office complex occupied by the VRA NEDCO. Field workers of the VRA NEDCO have since suspended field operations. The corporate affairs manager of the VRA, Mr. Maxwell Kotoka, confirmed the temporary suspension of field operations by workers of the company. He said the decision is not the position of management, but that they are dialoguing with stakeholders to address the issue. Meanwhile, chiefs in Tamale, the Gukbena, the Dakbema, and the Lamashina have all moved to calm tempers, urging the youth to abide by the law. Our Northern Region correspondent Mutala Isa joins us on the phone line now. Hello, good afternoon, Mutala.
Hello, good afternoon.
Mutala, what more can you tell us?
I was at the police command a while ago, and the Northern Regional Police headquarters has been cordoned off. They are not allowing vehicles to move in and out. Though authorities there are tight-lipped, what I do know is that usually when you see this, it means that they have received intel of potential attack on police installation. Now, last week, you remember the rampaging youth in Paris went around and damaged the Lamashegu police station, destroyed some vehicles, and attacked a VRA office complex. So this is just a development, a part of that problem, that issue. And some chiefs within the metropolis have been moving in to urge the youth to stay calm. This morning, the police were forced into a dawn raid in a house where one of the ringleaders of the recent protest suspectedly, allegedly, picked up somebody, kidnapped someone, and threatened to kill that person. What we are getting from the police is that they were compelled to exchange some relatives of the person with this victim, but they have not been able to arrest the suspect. He's on the run.
All right, Mutala, we hear that the VRA has suspended its field operations. Have you spoken to any officials for them to tell you how this is affecting their operations?
So I spoke with Maxwell Kotoka, who is the corporate affairs manager, and he confirmed the story. He used the terms where it is true and it is false. He explains that it is indeed true that their workers say they are not going out there for field operations, including addressing power outages in communities for fear of their own safety. There's that general feeling that VRA staff are not safe for now within the metropolis based on what happened last week. So they are dialoguing with the workers to find an amicable solution to this. But they also want assurances from the police, from residents, from the chiefs of Tamale that when their staff go out there, nobody will attack them before they go out. What I do know from the areas I have gone so far, we do not have any power outage. But if you suffer a power outage currently, I'm afraid they may not be able to attend to you immediately because staff say that they are not ready until their demands of they are guaranteed security before they can go out.
All right, thank you very much, Mutala. Mutala Isa is our Northern Region correspondent. Views are varied about the Takrady woman who faked pregnancy and kidnapping. On Focus, a current affairs program on GBC News and Unique 95.7 FM, the executive director of the International Federation of Women Lawyers Ghana, Mrs. Susan Aiti says marriage and childbirth have their legal implication, and society must provide a support system for couples while making other alternatives of having children easy and acceptable.
As for societal, conceptions about it, it will have to be a lot of public education, and that takes a while. It's a behavioral change doesn't happen overnight. It's a long way. But at least you see that you get families that are a little bit more understanding, and when you come to a legal aid center, most of the time when it comes to marital issues, there are issues with childlessness that always crop up, and that can really, like I said, even affect how much property you can even access as a woman if your husband passes on. Also, there's a root cause.
Yeah.
Everybody wants their names to be carried on. That is the issue at the family level, the household level.
Yes.
You would even you have mothers or mother-in-laws crying, saying, "Anna Kofi, won't you give me a baby?" and all that. So it's that we want to carry on the name, and so we don't believe in adoption. There are few people who do, but then it hasn't caught on really in our system. So that is one of the reasons. Something we should be looking at. Can we adopt and legally adopt? And we know that there were lots of issues with our adoption, processes. So that's another area we should also be encouraging.
Compared to last year, a larger number of candidates who attempted the professional law entrance examination for the 2021-2022 academic year of the Ghana School of Law failed. Out of the 2,824 candidates who wrote the exam, only 790, representing 28% of the number, passed. A total of 2,034, representing 72%, failed. A private legal practitioner, lawyer Martin Pebu, is on the line to help us analyze the matter. Hello, good afternoon, Mr. Pebu.
Yes, good afternoon.
Sir, first of all, what do you think accounts for the mass failure of the candidates who attempted the professional law entrance exams?
Well, for that one, we will need the examiner's report. We will need an examiner's report to be able to find the precise meaning. That will be more scientific. For now, from experience, you hear some of the candidates explain that they didn't have adequate time to prepare. The questions were difficult and all that. But I think in due course, we will get the examiner's report. Then we can scientifically address the causes of the failure.
Mr. Kwebu, in recent years, we realize that many people or more people are applying to read law. Where is this kind of motivation coming from? Is it that there are more job openings for lawyers?
Yeah, it's a myriad of factors, so many of them. But by and large, good development. Yes, we should be extremely happy that more people want to join the legal fraternity, because we don't have enough lawyers in Ghana. And we need rule of law. Every time we keep saying the country governed by law, okay, we observe rule of law. If you don't have enough lawyers, then that itself impinges on the rule of law. So we need thousands of lawyers to join. And I'm happy that at least last year, the law school admitted 1,000, and it's 1,034 or so. Yeah. And this year, if 790 have passed, well, it's come down a bit, but it's not as bad compared to hitherto. You remember the year that then 2 or 3 years ago, only 128 passed. So I think we've put the 128 behind us. And so now, if we did 1,034 last year, and this year we have 975, I think at least it's had a massive improvement over the 128. Though I would have wished that more students had passed, more candidates had passed.
That is the cutoff point or cutoff number for the School of Law at Makola, that they admit up to 790 candidates. Is it the case?
790 passed. I think they are going to go through an interview. So it's probably a few will fail the interview. It's natural. It's unlikely that all 790 can pass. Sometimes, or some people will even withdraw, not continue. But by and large, if let's say they are done and 700 even go through, yes, that won't be bad.
Mr. Ekpebo, I was asking that is that the number that the School of Law admits yearly? Is that the cutoff point, 790? As some are saying or suggesting?
No, I'm not. These are the people who pass. These are the candidates who pass. Because remember last year, they admitted 1,034. So it's a question of performance so far until we are informed otherwise. It's about those who pass. Because as far as I'm aware, if they pass, the law school will do everything within its power to give them access to come in. Because the authorities themselves know that we need thousands of lawyers to help.
So does the scramble for the legal profession fit into our development priorities as a country?
It's number one priority. Because everything you do under this F is law. Even if you say health, health is regulated by law. If you say food, the basic necessities of life, let's say food, water, air, what again? So let's say the basics, I know they've expanded them a bit, but let's say if you're using the conventional ones, food, health, water, shelter, all of that is regulated by law. So everywhere we pass, it's law. So law is number one. We can't run away from that because you need to regulate everything according to law.
Well, let's take this final one. The argument is made that whatever number of people applying to read law should be given the opportunity because society needs knowledge to advance. Could it be that the General Legal Council deliberately makes the entrance exam questions so difficult as to restrict admissions to what existing facilities and personnel can accommodate?
Well, I'm entering the realm of speculation. I really can't give an answer to that. But as I've said, to the extent that the numbers have increased recently, I think we're on a good trajectory. And even this interview you're granting, now that we are complaining, now that people are complaining that why should it be 790 out of 3,000, I believe the General Legal Council, the Board of Education, actually will come up. And I'm sure through that we can get good answers and assurances of higher numbers in the future. Or maybe they even do remarking. So keep up the scrutiny. So maybe you should go to your cameras to interview the board of the examiner, is it the independent examination board. So go look for them, go to the law school, ask to the director, they can give you direction so that you can interview them. Keep it up, then we'll get to know what is wrong so that if it's possible for them to do remarking, they will do it. If it is not, they will give answers. That's the beauty of democracy.
Okay, all right then. Thank you very much, Lawyer Martin Ekpebo. He is a private legal practitioner. A joint launch between the Ministries of Food and Agriculture and Fisheries and Aquaculture Developments for the 37th and Fisheries Awards has taken place in Accra. This year's event will come off in Cape Coast in the Central Region. The annual event is a thank you to hard-working farmers and fishermen for their contribution to the country's food basket and national development. But farmers at Wednesday's launch are not happy about the entire organization of the event. They say they had no input in the event's organization. The studio is my colleague Humu Kalsum Abdullahi, who starts through for GBC News. Humu, what are the farmers saying?
So as you know, annually we organize this Farmers Day to honor the farmers, to say thank you to them for feeding us and for helping in national development through the export of the foodstuffs. And usually 2 to 3 months before the actual event, that's in December, these events are organized. It is launched officially to encourage corporate bodies and then to create the awareness to them that this event has now been launched. But unfortunately, today's event, it looks like the farmers were not so happy, because when we sat through the entire event, the only people we had who were recognized were past winners of the Farmers Day event. The farmers are saying that the program is supposed to be for them, but they were not part of the organization. They are not part of the planning committee of the event itself. And according to them, this is a reflection of what the event, the actual event is going to be. That usually, even when they go to the event grounds, they are supposed to have places to sit, because it's Farmers Day, it's for farmers, but unfortunately most of them do not have places to sit. They don't even have, they have to pay for stand to advertise their products. And then they are saying that they do not even know the criteria that is even used to pick the best farmer. And they do not agree to a lot of the awards that's even given to the national best farmer. You know, some time ago they were giving 3 bedrooms, and according to the farmers, the building is not really what they need, because what they need is funds to be able to
get farm inputs.
Not just farm input, money to be able to add to their business, the money they use for their business, to expand their businesses. And they're saying that the $100,000 that is given to them is woefully inadequate. What they are calling for is a grant from the government, because it is only when they are able to expand their business that they will be able to motivate the youth to get attracted into agriculture.
Yeah, this is going to be the 37th edition. So have they had a dialogue with the stakeholders?
They haven't had dialogue. They said they are not part of the planning committee.
Is it for only this year or for the past events too?
This year especially, they are not part of the planning committee. They don't know how the organization is even being done. All they know from today is that the event is coming on in Cape Coast. They don't know how.
Which month in Cape Coast?
December. Usually the first Friday, of December. They all know that the event is coming on in December in Cape Coast. They are not part of the, they say even the National Association of Farmers, they were not part of this event. They're not part of the planning committee. They are not part of any organization in relation to the Farmers Day. And they believe that if this is how the launch is, it's definitely going to reflect on how it will be on the event day. They want government to change the organization, make them part of it, so that they will able to bring their input into the organization to really recognize farmers on that day, and not, excuse me to say, the politicians.
Okay, so if the farmers say they are not involved particularly in this year's event, then the 2 ministries involved in this year's event, who did they contact and how did they launch this program?
They have a committee in place who have launched it, but the farmers say they are not part of the committee. They don't even know how the committee members were selected. They don't know how the committee is working. The committee is not even consulting them on the organization. All they know is that they are just sitting down, and the day they will be invited to the event. And I think it is not good, because they are the farmers. The day is for them and about them.
So
they should be
involved. So much involved.
They should be involved in the organization of the event.
All right then, thank you very much, Humu. Humu, it's my colleague here at the GBC Newsroom, and she sat through a meeting where the farmers say they're not happy about this year's organization of the Farmers Day, slated for the first week in December. Thank you very much, Humu, and we hope you give us a full story for the Media News Bulletin. Yes, well, moving on, figures from the Ghana AIDS Commission reveal that out of the 18,928 new infections, HIV infections in 2020, a total of 5,211 are young people between the ages of 15. Represents 28% of all new infections in the year under review. Of the number 4,325, representing 83%, are females, while 886, representing 17%, are males. Adults of 25 years and above constitute 10,032, representing 53%. Similarly, the total number of new infections of children from ages 0 to 14, mother-to-child transmission, was 3,596, representing 19%. The total HIV population in the country as at the end of 2020 stands at 346,120, and the prevalence rate is 1.68%. The Ghana AIDS Commission says the infections among young people pose a big threat to Ghana's fight against the HIV/AIDS scourge. We have National AIDS STI Control Program, Dr. Stephen Eyisiado, joining explanations as to how the country got here. Good afternoon, Dr. Eyisiado.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your listeners.
Thank you very much for joining us, Doc. Doc, what accounts for these high rates of infections among the youth, especially those between the ages of 15 and 24?
Okay, so first of all, let's put everything in context. When we talk about the figures for 2020, we have to relate it to what has happened in the past. And when you look at what has happened in the past, we've noticed overall a reducing incidence of HIV in the country. But as we move towards achieving epidemic control, we have to look at it by population and subgroups. And when you look further, then you notice that there are inequalities and there are gaps. Like the data you just shown tells us that there are still new infections occurring in the children. Now, if somebody is getting HIV 15 to 20, it means that it's recent infection compared to the adults. And we need to be able to address it. The other finding in this survey is the fact that there is gender inequality. You see that 83% of the new infections are among females. And we already know that by the biology and the science, females are vulnerable, and therefore they have be at higher risk of getting sexually transmitted infections and HIV. The fundamental principles in preventing HIV still remain valid, like the advocacy, social mobilization, behavior change, communication. Over time, we have lost the consistency and esteem as far as that is concerned because of reduced resources for that, and also the fact that people have become complacent. The complacency comes as a result of the progress we have made. Because of treatment, nobody is seen very slim or emaciated. People are living longer with HIV. So people have assumed that HIV is no more, but HIV is still real. As you highlighted, there are about 346,120 people living with HIV now in the country. Even if these people are on treatment, we can tell that about 226,000 people are currently on treatment. That is good because it reduces the virus and suppression occurs and transmission cannot occur. But these people, if at any point in time they do not adhere to their medication, they will transmit to other people. So whereas there is initial suppression and people have assumed that HIV is no more a risk, a big problem, they will be transmitted quietly. And the transmission is not going to occur in any people, but especially the young people, because those who already have it, who may have advanced in age, are on treatment, they are managing, but they will have the virus to be able to give it to the children. So we have to reinforce all the intervention, including condom promotion. Because in 2019 and 2020, we noticed a strong correlation between the number of condoms that we distributed in the country and what infections we recorded. in 2020, we saw a dip in the number of sexually transmitted infections because of the efforts we made in 2018 and 2020. But we can actually project that we will have a higher problem in 2021 because in the last Sentinel survey, the prevalence of HIV among sexually transmitted infection clients increased, doubled by 100%. It moved from about 5% to 10%. All right, so it's coming back to the basis. The prevention issues are key. We have also added new interventions, apart from prevention education, condom promotion, apart from reinforcement in treatment. We've introduced pre-exposure prophylaxis, which means that people can take medication before sexual exposure. In that case, it also significantly reduces transmission. But we need to go back and reinforce the education in schools and make sure that we get ahead of the problem.
All right. So, Doc, with the available data, is it right to say that Ghana's efforts to end HIV/AIDS by 2030 is unrealistic and also a threat to national development?
No, it's realistic, but HIV is still a threat to national development. It's realistic if we continue to inject the resources we must inject in HIV response. If we have 346,000 people living with HIV and only 226,000 are on treatment, we must find a difference. And we have resources between now 2023 to be able to do that. But we don't have resources for the other components because you cannot only be putting people on treatment. You should prevent people from getting infected. So the advocacy, the prevention, injection of resources in education is key. If we are able to do that, then I would say it's realistic. I mean, we need to find additional domestic resources apart from what we're getting from donors and all that to make sure that we're able to cover all areas. If we do that, it's very, very realistic. But if we don't do that, even the progress we have made, we are likely to actually slag behind. And I can tell you that HIV remains a threat to our national development, despite the fact that it has assumed a different phase, a positive phase. It used to be the case that if you had HIV, it's a death sentence. But now it is no more a death sentence, but it's only a deferred sentence. As long as people are on treatment, they are well. If they withdraw, there's a problem. So we need to make sure that resources are available to continue to put people on treatment, whilst we take care of the other effort to find a cure or a vaccine.
Well, now we can see that Ashanti tops the infection rate. It used to be Eastern, if I'm right. Why this situation? What accounts for this situation? Okay, so now
we're noticing yes, we are shifting. We're noticing a shift from Eastern region to Ashanti. Yeah. And not only Ashanti, but closely linked to Ashanti is also Bono and also Greater Accra. You see that it's linked to areas of high commercial activity, cities. Okay, HIV is very urbanized. In the Eastern region, we did a lot of work because at the beginning it was very high. And so we noticed a consistent decline over time, which means that the interventions have made a difference. But now we are noticing an establishment of high prevalence in the highly populous regions, Ashanti region, and then Greater Accra. But East Bono region is one of the regions leading, and it was also the leading this year. But if you take the whole country, we see, Ashanti region also. So it's very important for us to notice that the commercial activities, sex work, men who have sex with men, they have high prevalence. And sex work is 4%, 4.6%. Men who have sex with men, 18%. These are bridging population. The activities are more in the capital cities, of Greater Accra and Ashanti region and all these areas. So where there is intense commercial activity also, there's intense social interaction, and then HIV transmission cannot occur. So these are the factors, and As a program, we have defined all these populations. We've been able to, based on the data, identify the hotspots, and we are targeting interventions at some of these regions to make sure that we bring down the prevalence. But you can tell now that it's getting established in the highly urbanized regions, and then also highly populous regions.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Dr. Stephen Eisiado, for your time. Dr. Stephen Eisiado is the program manager for the National AIDS STI Control Program. The European Union will partner the government of Ghana to address unemployment in the country through what is called Entrepreneurship for Jobs and Wealth Creation. The deputy head of mission of the EU in Ghana gave details at Kwadaso in the Ashanti region after inspecting a horticulture project funded by the EU at the Kwadaso Agriculture College. The project, codenamed Archipelago Green Project, began in October 2020 under a partnership among the European Union, the Delft University of Technology in the Netherlands, and the Holland Green Technology, and is being implemented by the Kwadaso Agricultural College in the Ashanti region. The one-year project, valued at 500,000 euros, is being funded by the EU. It was meant to span a 12-month period, but had to be reconsidered as a result of the negative effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. The horticulture project involves theoretical and hands-on training of trainees. The training embodies entrepreneurship intended to empower the beneficiary trainees with marketing and business skills. The trip by the project partners to the Kwadaso Agricultural College project site involved a briefing and interaction among the players on the progress of the project. The delegation also visited a weather station built for the college to enable students to test atmospheric and soil humidity, the amount of sunshine available, among other food production variables. They as well toured the demonstration site for the horticulture production for mostly exotic vegetables under irrigation. The project coordinator, Mr. Samuel Daba, shed more light on the focus of the Green Project for jobs and wealth.
All the indigenous and exotic vegetables that we have in Ghana, we are training them on. The period is 4 months. It's 4 months because they have to go through all the process from nursery to harvesting and to marketing.
The principal of the Kwadaso Agricultural College, Reverend Benjamin Asante, said the project had boosted the training capacity of the college in the area of entrepreneurship. The deputy head of mission of the European Union in Ghana, Mr. Pieter Schmidt van Gelder, said the EU cherishes its partnership with the government of Ghana in creating jobs and wealth for the people. He explained that the Kwadaso Agriculture College was chosen for the project based on the good reputation and faith the partners have in it.
What are we doing? It's not only crops, but it's also the skills for business. So the technical skills for the agriculture part, but then you have your crops and how you bring them to the market. This is exactly what they're learning.
Hours of torrential rain on Monday caused severe flooding in some parts of the Kumasi metropolis in the Ashanti region, claiming the lives of at least 2 people. Rescue teams from the National Disaster Management Organization have spent hours searching for persons reported missing since the flash floods. The body of the second victim was discovered in the Abuabo River on Tuesday during a search exercise by NADMO. The first victim was a 9-year-old girl who drowned at the Daman news site, also in the Kumasi metropolis. Joining us for more details on this tragic development is the Ashanti Regional Director of the National Disaster Management Organization, Mr. Kwabna Isentre. Glad to join me, sir. Of the National Disaster Management Organization to tell us more about the recent floods which have claimed lives in the Ashanti region. You're still watching News Hour live on GBC News and GTV. We're taking a short break.
It's a good morning and we serve you breakfast.
Not just any breakfast.
Sizzling healthy.
And there's much more on offer on GTV breakfast.
So what's your pleasure? Samvotrasia at that time of the morning.
You want it served buffet style, complimentary breakfast?
On-site restaurant?
Or room service?
We've got you covered.
From Monday to Friday at 6 a.m.
With a trusted team.
So never skip breakfast.
On GTV breakfast.
Yo, Magadu and Yagadu, you know, be here crowd.
How